Thanks for watching / listening to Comedy Worst. Please like the episodes. Subscribe. Wherever you're listening. Follow. Wherever you're listening or watching, follow. Thank you. Comedy or Worse presents a free comedy show at Quantum Brewing. Yay! 5375 Kearney Billwood Road, San Diego, California, 92123. Every Friday, 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. Every Saturday, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. Yeah, great beer, outside food, and dog friendly. Scan the QR code or go to comedyworst.com/QB.
So whether it's divorce or something else that hurts, it's comedy or worse. Oh, there's trauma, of course, like pooping in your shorts. It's comedy or worse. Yeah, it's comedy. Finally funny. It's comedy. And don't you see? It's comedy or worse.
Okay, welcome back to Comedy or Worse. I'm here with my very special guest,
Suzi Chicago.
Yay!
Hi.
Hey.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for coming. So how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's a busy time of year. So I'm wrapping up a lot of things for our business and some other things. So I'm back-to-back appointments today.
Sure. Okay. So do you use its stage name?
I do. It's Suzi Chicago.
There you go.
Want to know why?
Sure.
Because my real name, no one can spell, and my husband's last name, no one has ever spelled right or pronounced right.
Wow.
And I have a stalker, and so it was a good idea to change my name. My managers changed my name right away.
I see.
So that's
All right.
that's why.
Well, there you go. Sweet. So how did you get into comedy?
It's a silly story. I was part of a mastermind group, and because I run our business and have for years, and I was in South Carolina, and I was with some very big people in this mastermind group. They had adopted me. They seemed to think I had some talent as far as business goes, which maybe I do. I don't know. But anyway, so I was with big people. I mean, I'm talking some of the biggest motivational people in the world. And during that weekend, they said, if you weren't doing this business with your husband, what would you do? I said, mean, if I got a do-over from forever and from whenever? And they said, yeah. I said, I'd be a stand-up comedian. And they were like, oh, well, that doesn't surprise us because you've been making us laugh all weekend long.
Sure.
So cool. So the last night we were going out to dinner, and they said to me at dinner, we have a gift for you. Wow. So I'm looking for a bag, I'm looking for a box, I'm looking for something. Nothing. They said, at 10 o'clock you got 10 minutes at a mic here. We got you 10 minutes.
Wow.
I said, well, that's great. But the only problem is I don't have an act. What am I supposed to say?
Yeah.
And they said, well, just tell us some of the stories you just told us this weekend, and watch your time. Yeah. And that day I happened to get a text. Did you ever get a text from the wrong person that was meant for someone else?
Sure.
It said, you will be my slave for the entire day. So that wasn't for me. And so I got up on stage and I wasn't that nervous. I got up on stage and I pulled my phone out and I just read the text. And of course everyone laughed because what a woman my age is getting texts like this? Probably no one. And so the whole room laughed. I made 200 people laugh. And that kind of was like the Spider-Man bite that bit me, and
Sure.
Here I am.
Oh, that's super cool.
And they said I should have a podcast, which I do have a podcast called Suzi Chicago.
Okay.
They said, well, you should start with that.
Okay.
Because what I said was, I'm not going around to clubs and living in my car at my age, and I'm not telling DICK jokes. And so they're like, well, you don't have to be dirty, you can be clean. I said, I know, but, let's... So anyway, here we are.
All right, cool. So how long ago was that?
Just over a year ago.
Wow. Super cool.
Yeah. I've been doing really, I mean, I'm really blessed and thankful at how well I've been doing. Feels like I have 6 shows booked for January, and then my special is shooting the 19th of February.
Wow.
And people say, why do you have a special? You just started this. I said, well, you know how old I am? I said, you think I'm going to wait 20 years? I won't even be alive probably. So my managers put me on the fast track for that. So right now I'm literally training for that like you would train for a marathon.
Wow, that's cool.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
Sweet. So what club did you do that 10 minutes at?
It was called something Barn. I don't even know that it was regularly a club. I think it was they had an open mic night, and they had a restaurant and a bar there. So,
okay.
But it was packed.
Wow, that's
So
cool.
it was a mixed open mic. So there were some musicians and there was a magician. I said, well, at least I'm not a magician.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
That's cool.
I don't know. I've never been back there, so I don't.
Yeah. What town was that in?
Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So.
Nice. So what is your writing process for comedy?
Oh my gosh. I don't know about you, but I have notebooks. I have pads of paper. I have things everywhere in the house, on my phone, in the car, because ideas come to me from everyday life, or because I've had a lot of stories in life. Sure. I'll remember something. I'm like, oh, that would be a good bit. So I have these, and then I put them in a Google Doc. However, not all of them have made it in there yet because I have a pile like this next to my computer.
Sure.
And so then I run them by a couple people that I know if I think it's a bit, and then maybe I'll try. Usually my bits are not 3 minutes long like a club, although I've been to open mics where they're 2 minutes and that was okay. I have a lot of one-liners I can give you. Yeah. And so that's my process, but I write every day.
Cool.
And for me, writing helps to cement it in my brain. Typing on my computer does not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, makes sense. So how many times do you try a joke before you get rid of it?
We're still there. Let's see. It depends on the audience. If I'm at a bar and a joke's not something doesn't do well, I don't throw it away yet.
Sure.
And it's certainly not at an open mic because it's usually just comedians.
Yeah.
So let's see. What if I put by the wayside? I haven't really put anything by the wayside. Okay. Picking the material for my special, I had to time bits and figure out just how much would fit. And so I imagine when I'm done with that, I will be tired of those jokes. Do you ever get tired of a joke?
Right, yeah. Sometimes you get tired of it. You don't even realize you're tired of it. You're like, that didn't do as good. And then you listen back to it. You're like, oh yeah, my heart wasn't in it.
Exactly. And you do something. You play a ukulele, and I used to play baritone ukulele when I was a kid and guitar. And I used to write all these songs. And so my producer my director of my special wants me to play the ukulele. Well, I don't even have a ukulele anymore. Wow. So I was looking at, I don't know if I want to buy a ukulele or not, but I may do that for a special song that I wrote as a child. Sure. So, and I can't sing. Years ago, I was at Second City in Chicago, and they called me Two-Note Suzi. Wow. And I can sing the backup, like doo-wop, doo-wop, but to really carry a melody, I don't know, it could hurt my act. I don't know if it's such a good idea.
Sure.
So.
Wow, that's cool. So you were in Second City?
I was. My boss, I've had a lot of great jobs. I worked as an illustrator at a big advertising company in Chicago, and my boss, I always wrote like the company, we had a Christmas party and we always put on a skit and sort of sketch comedy. And I always wrote all those, and I was very insecure at that age, and I was not comfortable being up in front of people, but I was great behind the scenes and writing stuff. So my boss, who loved me to death, gave me a thing, and I went and tried out. He said, I'll pay for it if you get in. And so I tried out for the beginners and got in, and then worked my way up to advanced. But I was a mom with a single mom, so going out and doing this at night was not such an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
And I would warm up the audience at Second City, which we call crowd work, and I loved that. If I had the time on stage to do crowd work, I would do a lot of it because I'm pretty fast on the draw, even at my advanced age.
Sure.
So, but it was a time also where everybody was on cocaine. Everybody, and I wasn't.
Yeah.
And so, they'd be doing their bit, and then they'd go off stage for a second and do a snort out of a port of snort, and then they'd come back. And it was like being with hamsters. I didn't really enjoy it. So, and I was very nervous and not very self-secure at that time.
Sure.
Now I'll say anything in front of anybody. I'll go anywhere. I'll do anything. People who know me know, well, let Suzi go in first. She'll do it. So, but I was not that way back then.
Cool. So who's the funniest person in your life right now?
Who's the funniest person in my life right now? A civilian or a comedian?
It could be anybody.
Oh my gosh. Maria Bamford, Mike Birbiglia, Nate Bargatze, Leanne Morgan. So many.
So you know those people?
I don't know them all, but they're but
in your life.
Oh, in my life. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't understand the question. Okay, in my life, who's the funniest person in my life?
It's like, geez.
Oh, I got a lot of.
Could be.
No, just some of them. Let's see. Who is the funniest person in my life? I'm the funniest person in my life usually.
Okay.
I'm the personality hire. I'm the one at the party. They're like, "Oh, she's coming," and so. But I guess some of my comedian friends, my new comedian friends. I have a good friend, Ala, who you've probably met, and she cracks me up a lot. So.
All right. Cool. So I asked this to everybody. I don't always know the answer, but when did we meet?
When what?
When did we meet?
I had an open mic, I think. I don't know if it was Grand Comedy Club, do you remember, or Mic Drop.
Yeah, it feels like Grand, but it could have Mic Drop too. I don't know.
Yeah. I think the first time I saw you was at the Grand Comedy Club.
Cool.
And somehow I followed you on Instagram already, riding your unicycle, because that's something I will never do. And I would like to do it in my next life. I'm going to try that.
Sure.
So anyway, I don't know how I followed you before I even met you.
Just to suggest it, you're like, oh, that looks interesting. So have you ever traveled to do comedy?
I have. I did several corporate things in Texas this December, and I'm traveling again to do a show in Dallas. Was it Dallas Fort Worth? Yeah. In March, and then I'm going to Tennessee for the Nashville Comedy Fest. And then let's see, what else? Then again in June, I've been hired to do another corporate gig in Atlanta.
Cool.
So because I have corporate chops. I worked in the movies as a movie costume in the costume department designer, and before that I worked in corporate America. So. I understand them, There are a lot of comics who've never had a job like that. We're like, they can't relate to them, but I can probably much tell by what they're wearing, what job they have. So, yeah. So, yeah, and I love to travel.
Oh, nice.
So, anyway, in the corporate gigs, for all you comedy people, that's where the money is.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
And I like money.
Yeah.
I don't like being poor.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So do you have any hobbies or passions that aren't related to comedy?
Oh, yeah. So I've been a master printmaker, which means I have several presses in my studio for, 40 years now. And I took those prints and I turned them into patterns. When I retired from working in the movies, I turned those prints and I learned Illustrator at the ripe old age of 67. And so I turned them into patterns for fabric, wallpaper, gift wraps, all kinds of things. And then I licensed those patterns. So, yeah, always art and
That's cool.
always art. And what else? Gardening. I mean, I have a huge garden and grow our food, and
Nice.
not as much food as I used to. Nice farmers markets here. But yeah, I love to garden. Oh, and I have 3 chickens. I love my chickens. They're fancy chickens. They don't really look like chickens.
Okay.
They got the big thing on the head, and anyway, and they're old ladies now though. People say, "Do you get eggs?" I said, "It'd be like getting eggs from me." No, but they look cute. They're my folly, and there's so much work for what they are. There's so much work. I'm nuts, and I think a lot of days I go out there and I think, "What am I doing?" But then I look at them and I go, "That's what I'm doing." So they're better than kids. No lip.
Sure. So do you wish you started comedy earlier?
Yes, definitely. When I was young, like these young guys I see that are in their 20s or whatever, I probably didn't have the self-confidence to do it.
Yeah.
You stand up there alone? Are you kidding me? No. But 10 years ago would have been nice.
Sure.
But it just, until I was at that mastermind group, it just never occurred to me that I would do that. That was something other people did. I loved comedy. I've been a comedy nerd my whole life. So
that's cool.
yeah, I used to watch Jack Parr and Johnny Carson with my dad. Yeah. And then our big bet would be, will he invite the comic to the couch, or will they be left standing there? And that was our big thing. And I'm talking about a 10-year-old up at midnight.
Yeah.
You'd think I didn't have good parents, but he was the fun parent.
Sure. Mm-hmm. Makes sense. So you kind of talked about this already, but what are your goals in comedy?
Well, once I finish this, once I do this special, then for the rest of the year I am focusing on, I applied to many comedy, what do they call them, festivals or whatever. I probably won't get into most of them because A, my age, B, I'm talking about aliens and things that really aren't what young people. I'm not talking about dating. I'm way past that. I'm not talking about breaking up. I'm way past that. Murder. I'm at a 25-year marriage. Murder, perhaps, but never that. So my comedy goals. What are they goals? After that, I don't know. Just to get seen somewhere out of San Diego. Yeah. And so far it's been doing well because the 2 things that I did in Texas this December have got me more gigs for next year. Nice. So, where am I going? I see, people say to me, well, where are you going with this? I don't know, I'm 70 years old. Where am I going? I'm going as far as I can take it. Yeah. That's it. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. So what is your favorite joke? It could be anybody's joke.
My favorite joke? Well, probably the Aristocrats, but after that, let's see. I grew up with a dad who told jokes from the time he woke up till the time he went to sleep. Huh. I could never remember his jokes. They were all 3-part jokes. They were incredibly racist and sexist. I mean, this was long ago. But I could never remember jokes. I mean, I can't even remember some of my own jokes, okay? I get up and I do a set and I go, oh, I forgot the punchline of that one, and I forgot the punchline of that one. Yeah. And let's see. I guess I have to stick with my first answer. And my husband say, that's a filthy joke. Yeah, it is, but it's funny. So.
All right, cool. So I think you kind of answered this already, but what was your first joke?
What was my first joke?
Yeah.
My first joke was when I was younger, I thought when I turned 69, that would be a much more fun age. I don't use it because I'm 70 now.
Sure.
So.
So do you have like a favorite fan interaction? Either someone was a fan of your comedy.
I have a couple actual fans that come to all my shows.
Wow.
And one I knew before I became a comic, but he's just been Adam. Shout out to you. He tells people that he's my number 1 groupie. There's only 2 of them really, but got to be number 1 somewhere, right? Yeah, sure. So I have that. And then online I have people who follow me. I don't know where they came from.
Yeah.
I have no idea. And because of the podcast, a lot of people follow me that I don't even know who they are. I don't know if you know this, but I don't know who these people are.
Sure.
So, anyway.
Yeah. Cool. So what's your favorite place to do comedy right now?
Probably mic drop. Whether it be a showcase or a show. I just hosted the open mic for Lisa. I got my first paycheck from Mic Drop. That was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Not a lot of money, but probably Mic Drop. I would call that my home club. I've done the open mics down here, but it's just not. That's not my market. These are young people that want to talk about sex, and they don't want to hear an old grandma talking about sex, even though I've had plenty of it. They don't want to hear it. So anyway, so yeah, Mic Drop.
All right, cool. What's the scariest place for you to perform?
Well, the scariest place was probably the Comedy Store. Because I was working with Pretty Funny Women with Lisa Sunstedt, and she's a lot, and she's has some mental health problems, and I understand that, and I have my own, and I didn't know what to expect from her. I wasn't afraid of the Comedy Store per se.
Yeah.
I just didn't know how that show was going to go, and Alla was on it as well, and I'm very relieved when it was over. Which she'll probably hate me for saying, but I call it like it is, and
Sure.
it just that wasn't a fit for me. She wasn't a fit for me.
Yeah.
So
Well, you don't know until you try, right?
that's right, and I'm trying everything, man. Somebody wanted me to book a show. I've done so many shows in so many horrible places, but you got to do it right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I was a headliner. I will not mention what it was at a show, and I didn't know I was going to be a headliner till I walked in the door.
Wow.
And I only had 10 minutes, and they wanted me to do 25, which I can, but it's not tight. It wasn't that tight. And I said I was a headliner at the worst comedy show ever. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, Aaron.
Right.
What do you think?
Something.
It's something?
Yeah. Let's see. So, what was your family life growing up?
Maybe there's some comics that had normal families. I haven't really met them.
Yeah.
I don't know what your family was like, but
Sure.
I had a father who told jokes nonstop.
Yeah.
Very funny, had all these accents. Kids would come over or sleep overnight, and he'd be making breakfast with a French accent because he was making French toast.
Right.
And they'd say, "Oh, I didn't know your dad was from France." I'm like, he's not. And I grew up with my mother, who was a combination of Martha Stewart and Mao Zedong. She was a tough one.
Yeah.
And she had a store, and I grew up in a gift shop. She bought the store with her own money. As I got older, I think I respected her a lot more, because at that time women didn't do that kind of thing. You needed your husband, and she did it all herself. And so that was pretty. Growing up in a gift shop, growing up in a store or whatever is not a normal childhood. I mean, we went there every day after school, and we worked like mules until Christmas because that was our busy season.
Sure.
And my dad did the bookkeeping, but he had retired. He retired when I was born because I was a surprise.
Wow.
And as I say, they weren't expecting me from day one. And I mean, I was almost born at Wrigley Field. And then I have one older brother who's 11 years older, and I'm sure he didn't want someone else to steal the spotlight.
Yeah.
However, he was my hero as a kid. I mean, and then he went off to the Marines in Vietnam, and I was left alone with my parents. and we had a housekeeper, Irma, who to this day I consider her. She taught me how to be a mother. She taught me. Much more than my mother did. My mother was more concerned with what you had on and what you said and your grammar and is everything neat and clean. She'd be like doing this everywhere she went, and so it was a pretty crazy family, actually.
Yeah.
And but we love to have fun.
Nice.
And that is something that not all families like to have fun.
Yeah.
And we like to have fun. Even if it meant, fisticuffs at some point. Yeah, we got over it.
Yeah.
And so it was fun. It was an interesting family. And I had a father who stayed home and a mother who worked. So in 1962, or whatever that was not the norm. They'd say, did your dad lose his job? I'm like, no, he retired. He retired? How old is he? I said, old. He was 50 when I was born. I'd say old. Like the kids in school, their grandparents would die, and I'd say, how old were they? I'd be, oh, he's only 2 years older than my dad. Anyway, my mom was 11 years younger than my dad, and my mother's name was Susan, as was her mother and her grandmother. And my father's name was Bob, and my husband's name is Bob. Yes. And when I told my brother I was dating a guy, I said, what's his name? I said, Bob. He goes, no, not another Bob and Sue show. And so, it ended up to be that. And every time he lived in Newport Beach. And when we moved to San Diego, we'd meet him at a restaurant or whatever, and he'd say, oh, it's the Bob and Sue show. Or we'd make a reservation and say, it's the Bob and Sue show. And they'd be like, what show is that? And it's not a show. So anyway, yeah.
That's super cool. So what's your earliest memory?
My earliest memory. Probably in my crib with our cat. We had like a 20-pound big Maine Coon cat, and the cat used to like to sleep with me, much to my mother's chagrin because it got cat hair in the bed. Yeah. Anyway, and so I just remember laying in my crib with the cat. Her name was Pretty Face. I don't know how she got named that, but I wasn't in the naming process. I was too little.
Sure. So. That's cool. So what's the biggest audience you performed for so far?
Probably the corporate things I did. 500 people.
Huh.
That's a lot. It's very intoxicating for a joke to land and 500 people to laugh. Yeah. Unlike an open mic where one person goes,
right.
So, yeah.
Interesting. Let's see. So, where did you grow up?
In the suburbs of Chicago.
Yeah.
And I'm a Cubs fan. And I hate the Dodgers. They're Cub killers. And my whole family were absolutely insane Cubs fans. Now that they're all gone, though, and I'm the last one standing, I'm the only Cubs fan left. So it's a lonely place, although I just did meet some people who moved here from Chicago who are major Cubs fans. So I hope to enjoy it with them. When I first moved to San Diego 9 years ago, my brother and I went to every Cubs game in the state for 2 years. We had a blast. We had a ball. They didn't do so well. They won, the year we moved here, they won the World Series.
Wow.
And my conservative husband moved to California. And Donald Trump was elected. I said, I think the world is upside down right now. This is crazy. Anyway, so, I'm a Cubs fan, big time.
That's cool. Would you ever do a character on stage?
Yes. I do my mother sometimes, and my mother, she talked like this. She'd say to people, I'd bring kids over to the house or a boyfriend or whatever, and she'd say, and what do your people do? And then she moved to the South when my daughter was born. They moved to North Carolina, and I didn't realize that her family came from the South because they lied to us about our family history. Sure. And so she moved to North Carolina and became a Southern belle and had a North Carolina accent. And so, I've done that. I do myself as a kid. What else? I really have, half of my friends are Jewish, and I really love the Borscht Belt comedians. Yeah. And unfortunately, in today's world, being a Jew is not really a safe thing to be or to do a Jewish accent. I've gotten a lot of flack, so I've let those jokes go for now. Which is too bad. I just feel like we went back in time, Aaron. I feel like, when I was a hippie in the 70s and demonstrating and doing all this stuff, I thought we fixed that. Sure. And now we're right back to where we were. So.
Right. Yeah. So have you ever won a comedy contest or anything like that?
No, I haven't really entered any. Okay. The only thing I've entered are, I entered the Bergamot Comedy Fest. I don't know if I'm going to get in that. Yeah. And I entered something at the Comedy Store, the funniest of San Diego or something. And I think we hear pretty soon if we're going to be in that. Okay. But I don't have any expectations of winning or whatever because of my age and because I'm clean. And I'm not talking about whatever. My market is people probably 40 and older. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Although I could be dirty. I mean, I do a bit. Can we swear on this podcast?
Yeah.
I did a bit of my last Mag Drop show about being who's unfuckable. My husband's head was going, I kept saying, fuck. And it was really fun to do that.
Yeah.
And a couple people from the club came after. Well, after that, they noticed me. They really noticed me. So
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to keep going down that road, though.
Sure.
I don't want my grandchildren, to see grandma. Although my oldest grandchild, who's 28, he's one of the funniest people I know.
Nice.
He's going to come introduce me for my special. So
cool.
that'll be fun. I can say fuck in front of him, but
Sure.
we have little ones that I don't want them to see grandma
Sure.
saying that. Probably not a good idea.
Yeah. So what's your best booking story?
What's my best comedy story?
Like the best, oh, I can't believe I got booked on this show.
Let's see. Well, I guess my first one, that I got to even get up there.
Yeah.
But I think I know I should be saying clubs, and I'm not. I'm going to say the corporate things.
Sure.
And it's very hard because the person who books you thinks you're really funny and loves you.
Yeah.
But then there's another 499 people who never heard of you.
Yeah.
Who knows if they like your comedy or whatever. And so, getting hired, people believing that I could make that many people laugh is a nice thing.
Yeah.
Nice thing.
Sweet. So what's the worst thing about comedy right now?
Well, I worked in show business. I worked in movies and TV.
Yeah.
And show business. That's the worst part about it. I still see, there's the Me Too movement. You've heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would go to production meetings when we start a show in the movies or TV, and LA would come in and they'd give us a talk on sexual harassment and all the right things and not wrong things to say and whatever. And I'd walk out of that meeting and a producer would grab my butt.
Jeez.
And I'd be like, were you in that meeting? Were you just in that meeting? Anyway, and I see a lot of that in clubs. I see these young girls, and I want to tell them, don't do that to get what I know that a lot of women have done that. One I can think of was Oprah with Harvey Weinstein. He was a god. He was wonderful. And then when he got busted, all of a sudden he was the worst person on earth. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be that girl. So I don't like that about show business. And the hours. The hours are late. Although I'm pretty high energy for a gal my age. But
Sure.
I wear out a lot of younger comedians. I do. They're like, you're still going? I'm like, yeah, here I am. So, but that's the hardest part is show business. And it's not, I used to say in the movies, it's not what you know, it's who you blow. And I would never do that. I mean, never in a million years. I mean, nobody's asking a 70-year-old lady for that. Although
Sure.
I did have one kind of creepy 50-year-old guy. I was like, ugh, no thank you. No thanks. I got one of you at home. I don't need another one.
Sure. Okay, so have you ever been in a car accident?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I was ever driving. Well, once I was driving, I was rear-ended at a toll booth in Illinois. I had a farm, and I had a big pickup truck, and I was rear-ended by a Mercedes, which crumpled my truck bed a little bit, but the guy that went under the truck bed, their legs were all broken, and that was pretty bad.
Thanks.
And then when I was a kid, my brother, the wild child, he had a car with no doors, and which my father was we called my dad Captain Safety. He was a safety engineer.
Wow.
And he did not like that car. My brother said, I'm going to the junkyard. I'm getting new doors for this. Don't worry. Well, I don't know. Finally, he sold the car before I ever got the doors. But I remember riding. It was a nice day in Chicago. There aren't a lot of those. And I'm riding, and I get my feet up on the dashboard. No seat belts. And he rear-ends the car, and I went right through the windshield. And I kind of just went slowly. It was like slow motion, and I kind of bounced and then stood up, and I had broken glass all over me, but I got a few cuts. But I was really considering I went through the windshield. Okay.
Wow.
So, yeah, I've been in some car accidents. Yeah.
Wow.
So, that was my brother. What can I tell you? He's I have to do a bit on him sometime.
Sure.
He was a character of characters.
Yeah.
So, He makes me look vanilla. But he got in a lot of trouble. I don't like getting in trouble.
Yeah. Right. So do you have any merch?
Do I have any merch? I have stickers right now. Merch. I don't want to schlep around merch with me, but my websites very soon will have merch. With Suzi Chicago with the round glasses. And then I call my husband in my act, I call him Fun Bobby. Do you know why?
Yeah.
Because he's not. and he really is. He has a tremendous sense of humor and makes me laugh all the time. But he's very serious. He's very type A personality, and I'm an artist. I'm like all over. I mean, I have a brain, but I'm still, I'm always creating something, always thinking up, cooking up something, as he would say. And so people say, "Do you have Fun Bobby shirts?" And he is very famous in his own right. So I have done drawings and whatever that put on his merch. He sells a ton of merch. We have a merch czar in our company that just handles all the merch.
Wow.
And he's a big deal. He's a really big deal.
Oh, that's cool.
And we're kind of changing.
So what is your company?
Oh, my husband is a custom knife maker. He designs pocket knives.
Wow.
He designed before I met him, he was in a competition for a bayonet for the U.S. military.
Wow.
And it's a great story. So the friends that introduced us, he said, "Well, I really can't meet her right now. I got a deadline. I got to make this bayonet for the U.S. military, and I'm almost done, but I don't think I have time to meet her." And when they told me that, I went, "Oh, that's interesting. Someone who works with his hands." I like that because I'd been married to a doctor, lawyer, executives, not boring, but not as much fun. So when I met him, I went into his workshop and he had all this razor wire on one of the tables. I said, "Did you know the razor wire is supposed to be outside, not inside your house?" And he said, "Oh, I'm testing." He made these. In the bayonet, it has like a sheath, and in the sheath is a wire cutter that comes out. I mean, this guy is okay. He's got so many patents. I mean, he's a brilliant guy. Yeah. And he said, "So I'm testing the wire cutters." And I said, "Oh, okay, cool." Anyway, so that was. I think my only regret is that we didn't meet sooner. And I think he feels the same way because we were just a perfect couple.
Nice.
I mean, there's the murder is thought of occasionally, but that's in any relationship. People get on your nerves.
Sure.
So anyway, so he's very famous, and he's called the godfather of the tactical knife. Okay. And because he's Italian, so they call him that, which he doesn't like, being associated with crime. Sure. But he was in the Peace Corps early on, and he can make or build anything. He went to NYU to a program for industrial arts. Wow. That was way beyond anything I ever had as an art major. Way beyond anything. I mean, they taught him everything from knitting to how to use a lathe bigger than this room. Wow. He made telescopes, ground his own lenses for the telescopes. I mean, he's amazing. And so he's very, very famous. And when social media came along, he didn't really want any part of that. He said, "I don't want to be on my phone. I don't want to be on the computer." And I said, "Well, if you're not, you're going to be left standing on the curb because all the young guys are doing this." Yeah. So a very long story short, he's got about 38,000 followers on Instagram right now. And I shot, he has macular degeneration. So his knife making days, I don't know. Right now he's making them by memory. I don't know how he does it. But and he doesn't make that many. And but he had written a book on how to make a folding knife, and I said, "What if we turn that book into a 12-part series or 13 chapters, and we put it digitally, so people could subscribe to it and they could learn from it." And he also had a class that he taught online for a year, which was tremendous. He complained about it the whole time, but he loved it. And so I've sort of been the marketer of, I worked in advertising and for some marketing companies. So now, he's the only person his age that's even relevant in the knife world. The rest of the guys, nobody even knows what happened to them. And people don't even know their names. Well, you know how fast things are moving now, if you're not in front of people. So, and I do a lot of fun. So anyway, so I produced this series. My crew from New Mexico came out and filmed it in his workshop. And he did it in 1 week, no script. It was amazing. But what we did was make something that will be a legacy forever. And people are still buy it. watch it. They send him questions. He's a very good teacher. He loves. He's a pathological explainer. He loves explaining things, and I tell him, don't start at the Renaissance when somebody asks him a question, or no, not the Civil War even. How about 1960? Start there.
Right.
So anyway, so it's really fun to work with him in that part of the business. I mean, and I don't make knives. I could. I'm very good with my hands, but if he got me in that shop and I could grind a blade, he would chain me to those machines and I would never get out. And so I have never made a knife. But like comedians, I mean, if you say a famous comedian to the average person on the street who doesn't know comedy, they won't know who you're talking about. If you say Bob Terzuola to someone who doesn't know knives. However, you know Tony Calabrese, who teaches at, the first time I got up I took his class when I came back from Charleston. And he knew exactly who he was. He knew a guy who was really a big dealer and collector. And he said, oh, I know exactly who your husband is. He goes, you know how famous this guy is? And everybody was like, so there, no. I said, only in that world.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, I don't know, it's a good mix for us, you know, because I'm always cooking stuff up and say, why don't we do this? Why don't we try this? But what I was really happy is when he got that diagnosis, and it was a very sad day.
Sure.
And that I had a solution to keeping that alive.
Yeah.
And so I can't tell you how many people will go to a big show in Atlanta this summer. And it's the biggest knife show in the world. And this is not comedy material. However, I am performing. They hire me the night before they have a barbecue. So they hired me to do comedy there and then another one in Dallas. Wow. And they've never really even heard me. They've just seen me on Instagram or whatever. Yeah. And so that'll be fun. Nice. But yeah, what a people call us the power couple. I don't know how much power we have. I don't know where that power is. I'd like to know. Where do we plug it in?
Yeah. That's interesting. That's cool.
Did I answer that for you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So let's see. So what jobs, is there any jobs that you wish you would have had, or did you pretty much cover everything? No, anything I've ever wanted to do, I did. Nice. I'm not afraid to, people get like an image of who they are. And I have never been afraid to take a leap. I mean, obviously I became a comedian in '69. No, there's no job I would want now. In fact, jobs today are so weird. Yeah. I don't know. No, I think I don't have anything I'd like to do. I've done it. When I wanted to do it, I did it. Huh. So that's cool. So how did you said you have like managers and stuff? How did that happen? How did that happen? Well, it happened through my husband, through his business. There are some guys out of Jared. Hello, Jared. Anyway, they're called Honest Fox Media, and they manage Leanne Morgan's, all her social and everything. I mean, she's got 12 managers for, if she has to blow her nose, she's got a manager for that now. But they're the ones who put her video up that went viral that changed her whole career. Anyway, and I thought they would be good for my husband to get that 12-part series out. How would they do that? Whatever. Yeah. So I wrote them a letter, and they happen to know knives, which was nice. And so Bob and I had a Zoom call with them, and they said, well, we'd like you to meet, we started lower down in the company, and then we'd like you to meet the next person. So I'm like, am I auditioning? I guess I'm auditioning. We're auditioning. And so Bob, I got him dressed. He always wears t-shirts and stuff. He had a collared shirt on. He had his hair combed. He's usually dirty nails in the shop. That kind of guy. And so we had another meeting. And so I said, how will you, do this? And I had told them about my comedy, and they knew about me, and they asked a lot of good questions. And I said, so, how will you do this? And they said, well, we're really interested in promoting you. Which my husband and his ego went to the floor.
And later he said to me, you know, you really are funny, Susie. You
Yeah.
just are a naturally just funny person. Not that I'll be the greatest comic. I don't know about that, but I like to make people laugh. Anyone in the grocery store, I mean, everyone's my audience. They always have been. I just never thought of it like that. But so then they said, well, we'd like you to have one more meeting. And we went with Jared, who actually I have a meeting tomorrow with. And so I signed with them. And so they were, developing me. So I couldn't put any of my comedy or anything really out there at first. And so they have really guided me and named me and branded me. And things that I did for lots of other people in my jobs, but for yourself, it's very hard because I don't know how people see me.
Right.
Everyone thinks I'm rich. It's the glasses. Okay, and we're still working. It's 70 and 81. We're still working. Rich people don't still work. So that's how I got them, and I love them. What I love about them is, you know, I've met a lot of people in the entertainment business who say one thing and do another.
Yeah.
And they do what they say. And they manage a whole bunch of people that I know now that I'll have on my podcast. And
Cool.
not because, you know, I just know them. I went to Atlanta last January. They did a showcase of all the people that they represent, and so I went down there. I wasn't on the showcase because I just started comedy.
Sure.
And I met so many lovely comedians.
Yeah.
They weren't angry, they weren't depressed, they weren't, oh, that guy got a show and I didn't get a show. They were nothing like that. I'm like, oh, this is the barn this horse wants to be in.
Sure.
This is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go down to Nashville and be on one of their comedian shows. Her name is Paula Kaczynski, and she is a deadpan comic who does not look like a comic. She doesn't act like a comic. I think she is funnier than shit. And she talks about things nobody talks. She really has her own voice. So that's how I got them, and I never, I mean, I went for one thing and ended up with another thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So how does it work? Do you like record stuff yourself and then send it to them, or they send out a photographer?
Well, it depends. Everyday stuff, I have a gal that edits little videos from shows and stuff that I do, and she puts clips together now. But at the beginning, we were getting me branded. We were getting my podcast so that it looked consistent. Because when I started the podcast, I started with my husband a few years ago, and it was about couples who work together, and that was not a sustainable model. But there are a lot of comedians. Boy, there are a lot of comedians, and they like to talk. They're good interviews. And so at one point, after I went down to Atlanta for that showcase, I asked some of the comedians if they would be on the podcast, and then it was like, okay, this is my jam. This is where I want to be.
Yeah.
And so, but now, the clips. I should be making much more content than I'm making, but I do have this other job and a life and a husband who's 81 and has had some serious health things that I'm in charge of. And so I know I fail in the content department. So, but I love this teenage girl. She's absolutely brilliant. I think she's going to be a comedian. Anyway, but she understands the funny. And so she can take a show and she can pick out 2 or 3 clips. And then we take clips from the podcast. Yeah. And those are starting to drive like crazy. I'm talking 15,000, 20,000, some of them, views. And I want more of those, as you know. And so, and you know, comedy is a business. Yeah. And I have to tell that to my good friend Alla, you communist girl from Russia. It's a business. You know, you got to put people in those seats. You got to sell tickets. The clubs have to make money, or the show that you book has to make money. Right. And I'm going to produce a show called 55 Miles an Hour and Over, and of people who are over 55. Okay. And I'm working on getting a couple LA comics that are older. I know so many funny comedians who are like 70 and 80 years old. Nice. And then there's a few people here, which you probably know, Dan York, he's perfect for it. And a few other people. And that'll be my first show I produce, which will probably be nerve-wracking. But that's after the special. Right now, I'm like, if you don't look, let's look at it. But I'm training for a marathon right now. I am. I'm eat, sleeping, and drinking my special. So.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
With Pretty Funny Women, did you meet Jerry Evans?
Mm-hmm. She was on your podcast.
Yeah.
I listened to her. I met her. We have the same birthday.
Oh, wow.
And what's different about why I don't fit in Pretty Funny Women is I'm happily married, and I like men. I love men. And, I'm from the 60s. So, we had free love and free sex, and I've tried it all.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, I love men. I've loved them since I was a kid. I was a tomboy. That's because I like to play with the boys. Now I work in a sausage fest business. It's all men. I love it. Not that I'm flirting with them or anything's happening. It's just I like men. Yeah. And in Pretty Funny Women, most of them are not talking about a happy marriage or a happy relationship. And I know Jerry just finished a divorce with a long-term thing, so she's healing from that.
Yeah.
And but I don't fit in that,
Sure.
And how can I say that? I see the men sitting in the audience.
Right.
How can I say you're a scumbag? You're all bad. You're all losers, or whatever they say about them.
Sure.
I just don't think that's true.
Yeah.
So, anyway, yeah, I know Jerry.
Yeah, cool. Let's see. So you're working on your special. Have you worked on any sketches lately, or?
Not in Second City, no. I'm always trying to do a little. Okay, so I love TikTok dances. I know I'm not the right age for that.
Yeah.
And I made a TikTok dance video after I was the headliner at the worst comedy show outside of the place. I did. My son's sister-in-law was with us, and she's young and fun. And I said, "Would you like to do this? Do you know this dance that they're doing?" She goes, "Yeah." I said, "Let's do it." And so it got like 50,000. I mean, it got a lot of views. I have to put it out again.
Right.
And so we're working on it with my husband right now. We always do the glasses. We've done the glasses. I made our first glasses for the year, it was, because I love glasses. I'm a glassaholic. I go to 12-step meetings for them. I can't pass a glass store without going in and coming out. It's nuts. I love glasses. The thought of wearing the same glasses every day is like wearing the same underwear every day to me. But anyway, so I've been working on a couple sketches for our glasses thing, but those are mainly for TikTok. I mean, I'll put him on Instagram and Facebook, and then I'll put him on his Instagram. And what has really surprised people, because he's, the Godfather. He's so serious. He's so knowledgeable. He's so successful. And they're all like kissing the hems of his garments all the time. And then he does this crazy video with me, and they're like, wow, we didn't know that. No wonder they get along. Okay. So, yeah. So I'm working on a couple for New Year's. In fact, it's supposed to rain tomorrow, so we'll have to do them inside.
Yeah.
And, but like we did a chicken dance on TikToks with our chickens, and I don't know. I just love that. It's very immature, but I don't care. You're only young once, but you can be immature indefinitely, right?
Absolutely. Nice. Let's see. Is there anything that you want to talk about that we haven't covered so far?
Well, I want to know a little bit about you.
Wait, me?
Him. I want to know about you because I love
Tables
people.
have turned.
Yes. And I was a trained social worker. So my husband says I'm always doing intake interviews. He goes, he says, you're not writing anything down, but I do. But how did you get to do this? What did you do? What jobs have you had? I mean, you don't just wake up one day and become a comedian, usually.
Well, I mean, I guess the first signs were listening to like comedy podcasts and having the comics talk about their journey. Mm-hmm. How, I always was a comedian. I didn't realize it. Using comedy to like deal with life and stuff like that. And I was like, oh yeah, that's kind of like me. And so then one day I'm like, oh yeah, I'd like to try stand-up comedy. So I hate New Year's resolutions because you should just, if you have a resolution, just start it today.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
what are you waiting for? Yeah,
till New Year's.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was like, okay, I'll bite. I'll say, New Year's resolution on do comedy. Whole year went by, didn't do it, and then the next year I'm like, oh, I forgot, I didn't do it. So then there was a comedy contest, and it was for the Madhouse over at Horton Plaza.
Mm-hmm.
It was on a Monday. It was a holiday. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I'll go. And then I didn't move on to the next round. Also, I had started a podcast where
Mm-hmm.
I just would. It wasn't very focused. It was called Aaron Trahan Radio. It was on Anchor. Anchor was great.
Mm-hmm.
Anchor was a audio social community.
Mm-hmm.
You would listen to people, and then you would call into their show, and if they liked it, they could add it to the podcast
Mm-hmm.
really easily.
Mm-hmm.
You could listen to other people, in this big. They had also had a chart of 100 people, so
Mm-hmm.
if you didn't even know who should I be listening to, you could listen to the number one person.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then it was a big group of people that would call in to other, they would listen to their segment and they would comment about it, or they would call in, so that was fun.
Mm-hmm.
So my first stand-up thing, I just did stuff from the podcast that doesn't exactly translate,
Real life?
Also had did a character where I was doing horoscopes, but it was horoscope, and I wouldn't change the words. I would just read it
Mm-hmm.
like I was, this demon character, and I did that on stage, and I think it didn't translate because they could see me doing it. With the audio, it was just audio.
Yeah.
So you can use your imagination, oh yeah, this demon character is doing this. But I got some votes, and I thought it was fun, and then.
And how long ago was that?
Probably 2018 or so. I started my podcast in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's probably
Okay.
early.
And then there was the COVID, the stupid, dumb COVID, kept us all indoors. But podcasters know.
Yeah, actually, maybe I probably did. It was probably the same year, 2017. I did one stand-up set, and then some time went by, and I started a little later after that. When lockdown happened, I was 14 months into comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I got on Kill Tony.
You did? You went to Austin?
Right before the lockdown. So
Oh my gosh.
it was at the Comedy Store of La Jolla.
Oh, he had a remote show there, or I don't know where he came from. I just know
Yeah,
he's
they
been in
started in LA.
Oh,
They would
okay.
do the Comedy Store in LA, and then they would just were in town for San Diego to do 2 shows of
Mm-hmm.
Kill Tony, and it's I hadn't really heard about it before, and I'm like, oh, stage time? I'll put my name in a bucket to get stage time,
Mm-hmm.
So that was really fun.
And what was that experience like?
It was really fun. It was I think I did good, so I guess I wasn't as nervous as you could be.
Mm-hmm.
It's also only a minute, so
Yes.
unless you were, you could practice. You just do a minute of your best material,
Mm-hmm.
and then the interview, I get along and talk with people easily.
Yeah.
So as long as people mess up where they just go up there and they're bored,
I know. Sometimes I watch it. Sometimes I don't. Now that Netflix has bought it, I'm not sure I'm going to watch it that much. But I see people get up there, and I think, this is your shot. Be the most animated. This is your audition for the rest of this world.
Yeah.
So, but they don't. So.
Yeah, but
Well, that's pretty cool.
yeah. So that's the origin, and then I started to do comedy like all the time when I lost my job. Like the company, I was working for this smog school, and we got bought by another school. And then after 4 months, they let me go. Just redundant. So I was like looking for another job, going, oh, do I really want to work in an office again? And then started coming in the Madhouse every day. I lived in Oceanside, driving back and forth. And then a position opened up here, and I just grabbed it. And haven't looked back.
Good. So what's your position here?
Now I just kind of do stuff off the clock.
Okay.
Yeah, just help out.
Okay.
Cool. I live close by, so it's like, oh, can you open the door for somebody or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's mainly what I'm doing.
All right.
Yeah.
Were you a funny kid?
I try to make people laugh to diffuse the tense situations. Yeah.
When I went to social work school, all the therapists said that was my protective coating, was the comedy. And they said, so they gave me a sticker and a picture of Bozo the Clown with the red circle with the line through it. And they said, stop it. And here I am. I tell people I'm having a slip or something.
But why would they want you to stop?
Because they wanted to, bust my head open basically to figure out what was in there and whatever. And I could always make them laugh and diffuse the whole thing. And they wanted some serious answers.
Okay.
And so they got them. But now I'm back. That's a much happier place for me.
Right. Yeah, I think that you can do both. I think you can, look at root causes and stuff, and also use comedy to help deal with life.
Yeah. I like to laugh, and I like those endorphins that produces. So I like to laugh. Yeah. And I raised a son on the spectrum, and if I didn't have a sense of humor, I would have had no hair in my head. I would have pulled it all out.
Sure.
He's now very independent, very successful, doing great. So all my hard work paid off. But that was like 10 years of my life of just socializing him. So and now he is the most social autistic person you'll ever meet in your life.
That's cool.
He is, and I like it. And he was obsessed with vacuums when he was a kid. And didn't get rid of that. And his first job was at a vacuum store. He worked a few other places, but now he has his own vacuum store, and he mostly installs whole house vacuums. He lives in Denver, so he in Performance Vacuum. He like Vail and Aspen, all those big 12,000, 15,000 square foot. He installs the whole house vacuums in all those custom homes.
So what's a whole house vacuum?
It's like you have a plug outlet to plug something in. Well, every room will have a plug that you plug the hose into. Or now, due to his brilliance, the hoses collapse into the wall. You used to have to carry this big python around with you, basically with the vacuum head. And now you just pull it out and stick the little head on and vacuum. And so, depending on the square footage, but it's all in the walls. You can't see it. You don't carry a vacuum around with you.
Wow, that's
and
cool.
yeah, it's a really we had a house with one of those once, and he always said it was an old one. It wasn't a good one, and you didn't have the outlets that had this accordion thing that came out that was your hose. You had to carry the hose, and I was like, this is no fun. And I don't know what's so great about this. And the hose was heavy. It was big. It was like 20 feet long, so it was heavy. And so that's what he does. And I said to him, how do you know where to put them in the house, Alex? He goes, Mom, it's all autism. I can see it in my mind. I said, I just look at the house. I go, okay, I know where this is. I would have no idea where to start.
Wow.
So
that's cool.
He's a pretty cool kid. And he's got a great sense of humor. If he doesn't become a comedian, like I keep sending him stuff. There's a whole bunch of comedians on the spectrum that have done really well. Dan, I can't think of the guy, he's out of New York. He lost a lot of weight. I don't know if you've seen him. Anyway, I keep sending him his thing because I think he would be he's very funny, but he's very practical. So I don't think it's coming for a while.
Sure.
Very practical. So
yeah, that's cool. So they have to take apart the house to make it
vacuum? He usually comes in as they're building the house before they put the drywall in. Occasionally he does a house that already has the drywall. And then, he has things that you know where the wires are and whatever, sensors and stuff. And so sometimes he'll come to the house and say, this really can't be done here. I'm sorry.
Sure.
And then another company would come in and say, oh yeah, we can do it, and just totally screw up the house. But he's pretty honest. I went with him once to this big house. I don't know what it was, probably 12,000 square feet. And they had many. They had three units in the house. And I said, I'll just wait in the car because I wanted to go sort of out in the country. It was pretty and whatever, these big, giant houses, all on 5 acres. And so I'm sitting in the truck waiting for him. I'm on my phone or whatever. And the lady who lives there comes out. She goes, I heard you were sitting in the truck. She said, if you want to come in, you can come in. And she said, I just want to tell you, this is the 3rd time your son's been here. He is the best guy to deal with. And I was like, oh, thank you, God. Because, there are a lot of socializations. I used to write him little social stories with cartoons that I would draw on how to handle different things like fast food when he thought they were too slow. And he'd say, like, chicken, fried chicken, isn't this supposed to be fast food? What's taking so long? And so I thought, oh, those paid off. And then they had 2 dogs, and we used to have a German Shorthair Pointer when he was little. And so he wanted me to see these dogs, and he loves dogs, I love dogs. And chickens, he loves chickens too. And it was, as a mother, it was one of my proudest moments to know that, he can come in someone's house he's never met and drill holes in the wall or whatever he's going to do, and he cleans up afterwards. And I joke him that he has his grandmother's genes in that regard. He vacuums pretty much every day. So anyway, but I love him. I love you, Alex.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he is awesome. And he's big, tall kid. So when I'm with him, I feel like his child. I'm always doing this. And he's one of those tall guys, like Chris Angel, Chris Angel, who kind of bends over like this. My son does the same thing. When I'm with Chris, I always think of my son.
Sure.
So.
That's cool.
Anyway. So what else? I don't know if I want to know anything. Are you married? I have no idea.
No.
No? Never been?
No.
Wow. How did you escape that?
I don't know. Just, grew up in a house with a lot of yelling and locked doors, and when people would say the worst things to each other and then make up and be like, geez, you're just like, how can you? I don't.
How can you get over that?
Yeah, you just said, so I don't know. I just kind of
wasn't appealing to you.
No, I mean, yes, I think I'd also like. You think you want it, and then you self-sabotage all kinds of ways.
I have a very good friend who's a tremendous artist. He's fun, he's whatever, but when it gets close to that real intimacy, he finds a fatal flaw in these women, and it's over.
Yeah, and I've also had women that are like, oh, Aaron, you're just so nice. I want to keep you nice. It's like, what? Okay. Because they know that something's wrong with them, and they're gonna drag me down or whatever. So I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? I can't force people to be in a relationship with me.
And I want a nice. Okay, so I think nice guys are getting a bum rap. Okay, I mean, I'm married to a nice guy. He's a nice guy. He was when I met him, he was kind of a tough guy, but now he's 81. How tough are you at 81? And he was so nice. He was probably too nice. And they were like, oh, there must be something underneath there. He's going to one day grow another head and, be verbally abusive or whatever. And he wasn't. He's just a nice guy. But I think a lot of nice guys, my son is a really nice guy too. And he's had a few girls because nobody, now the woman he's with now that he's engaged to, she gets it.
Yeah.
So,
good.
I mean, how nice? Why not be nice?
Exactly.
Anyway, that's what I'm trying to be in comedy too. In the movies, they called me the voice of reason. People had meltdowns, actors had meltdowns, department heads had meltdowns, whatever, and I was always, well, I'd say to one, I remember Henry Thomas, remember E.T., the kid that played in E.T.? He got upset one day on set. He didn't like his pants, they made him look fat, but he was doing a period piece with a Western, and we don't have jeans back in those days. We had sacks with a rope. And I'd say that the things like this, I said, you're just not your best self right now. This is not your best self. let's go back to your trailer and let's have a cup of tea and let's talk about this. And so I was always, the voice of reason. I hope to be that. I'm not going to be as labor intensive with comedians, but I want to be nice to people. Why not?
Sure.
So in our business, I always, the guys that work for us, I say, of all, of anything I want them to walk away from an experience with us is that it was a pleasant experience. It was a good experience.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I think this has been a nice podcast, right?
Well, I think so. It has been. I got to know you better, and I'm going to have you on my podcast. We're going to take a little break for a couple months we have seasons at our podcast, but then when we come back, I'll book you. I'm booked up through the first week in February, and then I'm off for a few months.
Sure.
And,
okay. Sounds good.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks so much.
All right.
Being on the podcast. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. See you next time.